Welcome back to Deep Rock Galactic. Since last we left this infernal asteroid, our dear associates were able to scrub it clean of the Rockpox plague. For the most part. Uh-oh. But with this planetoid freshly porous, something deep within has been awakened. So let's keep drilling deeper, miners, and see what new threats and riches Hoxxes has to offer in Season 5. To excavate this bounty, deep scan missions have been added to your available contracts. Morkite geodes have been detected in the deepest reaches of mission areas, and it's your job to crack them open and harvest the precious Morkite seeds. To pinpoint the location of geodes, you will need to find resonance crystals buried in the cave floors. Once you've spent half an hour dragging your face through the mud, the geode's location will be triangulated and a drill elevator will be deployed. Ride this Tower of Terror down to the basement while fending off hordes of glyphids and subpar integrity. I mean, very intact design that requires tender love and care. And you'll find yourself in a crystalline wonderland. Quickly grab the requisite Morkite seeds, deposit them into Molly, call the drop pod, and rocket boot out of there. Though with these newfound riches come many more dangers in the workplace, some of which are the environment itself. New warnings and anomalies have been detected in the mission areas, and it's best to keep them in mind while experiencing minor mining mishaps. Most important of all being blood sugar. Some vile toxins in the air are slowly depleting your health and crystallizing the coagulations of your fallen foes. Make sure you drink up that dead juice to stay alive. No matter your determination, you will succumb to this chemical cocktail. I am bleeding for science. Okay. Some mission areas are super saturated with ranged enemies. Taking on these missions will award you a 30% hazard bonus, but if you want to survive long enough to actually see that reward, you might want to duck and cover. You see, it's funny because that's the name of the warning. An ebonite outbreak has caused rocky rapscallions to replace the regular rascals requiring removal. With a harder carapace in need of mining, taking on such missions will net you a 20% hazard bonus. Don't worry about your arms getting tired while harvesting their skulls, for Molly will eject pickaxe boosters periodically for your squad. And the final anomaly is truly astounding, something spoken of in only the most ancient of texts. Greybeards say the emergence of this anomaly marks the return of Carl himself, something that is truly impossible. Secret Secondary. This anomaly gives you a second secondary for some extra cash. That's all. Though, on the topic of secondaries, I might as well mention the new ones.
You barnacles.
Barnacles are vile. I hate them. Gross little bastards creeping in the walls. They sound awful, too. 16 of these wiggly worms have burrowed their way into the cave ceiling, and it's your job to exterminate them. I know how hard it can be to keep track of your secondary objective. Luckily, these bastards' beaks glow for your convenience. Worth note, barnacles cannot be found in industrial sabotage missions.
I did it. I'm very good at this game.
Glyphid eggs have been popping up more frequently and have become an objective themselves. With these bugs reproducing at such a rapid rate, your task is to eliminate 40 of these egg sacs before departing. Slaying the glyphids is not a requirement to finish this objective, but preferred for your survival. This objective will not be available in missions occurring in the Fungus Bogs or the Azure Wheel. Be mindful, miners, if your task has been rated over 5 on the hazard scale, the amount of swarmers could be increased. Speaking of, that's another development worth mentioning. The dangers of Hoxxes have evolved to the point where missions can have the rating of Hazard 5+.
Oh my god!
This can mean a multitude of things, like hyperactive enemies, even more enemies, resilient enemies, increased boo-boo infliction, and all of those simultaneously. It is recommended that Hazard 5+ is only taken on by the most experienced dwarves, and as always, you will be properly compensated for your efforts.
Are you tired of subpar content? Subscribe to Explosive D-5. Want to support our local broadcast? Join our Patreon for early content, behind the scenes, and more. Subscribe to Explosive D-5. Now available on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Discord, and Patreon.
Since we're talking about enemies and the adverse effects they have on your body, new enemies have been spotted roaming the arteries of Hoxxes. A little irritated that Engineer has been sending his victims to their dimension, core spawn crawlers have been ripping holes through reality to enact their revenge. Only appearing near core stones, core spawn crawlers are vaguely humanoid creatures that reside within the deepest parts of this dwarf planet's rogue core. With tempered skin and lightning-fast reflexes, the core spawn crawlers are an extremely dangerous foe. Because of that, caution must be used when handling the core stone. Naturally, these core stones are valuable targets of research, so excavating them is top priority. When desecrating their rectangular obelisk, core spawn crawlers will emerge from fissures in the wall until the stone is removed, thus closing the rifts, or until no dwarf is left to devour. And trust me on this one, you do not want to be anywhere near that award-winning smile. The Glyphid Stalker is an invisible bug with hit-and-run tactics, sneaking up on you while invisible, biting your shins, and then burrowing away. When it resurfaces, it will regain its stealth and go on the prowl again. Autonomous targeting features like robots and the Lock One cannot detect the invisible creature, but ricochet bullets can still suss out its location. Additionally, a faint shimmer can be seen while it's invisible, and dealing enough damage or pinging the bastard will get rid of its cloaking. It's worth noting that doing so will piss it off and force it to charge at you with reckless abandon. Hanging from the ceiling of cave systems, Vartok scale brambles have started appearing in mission areas. Scale brambles are vicious and will assault employees relentlessly once awoken from their slumber. To dispatch a scale bramble, look for the nodules connected to it via glowing vines. Mwah! Once all the Vartok nodules are destroyed, the armor of the scale bramble will break away, exposing its gooey insides to your dwarven firearms. The Barrage Infector is quite similar to its single-shot counterpart, with a stationary position, glowing balls of pus, and an infected jugular that is ripe for the popping. Those similarities aside, the Barrage Infector vomits its projectiles at a much closer range over a longer period of time. These deficits may seem enticing, but getting too close to these explosive pustules will deal excessive amounts of damage if not properly shielded from the blast. Since their damage is higher, not only is their attack and cooldown longer than the Spitball Infectors, but they also appear less often as some sort of pity from Hoxxes. You may be wondering how to effectively, or entertainingly, handle these new threats. Well, in the ever-increasing arm race to see who eradicates the other first, we've concocted 12 new overclocks to enhance your primary weapons, and reworked Turret Arc.
Be electrified. Be electrified.
Ow! The first overclock is Burst Fire for the Deep Core GK2. It's not particularly flashy, but it converts your rapid fire into a 3-round burst. Additional features include bonus damage, increased stun chance against weak points, and a tiny percentage-based mag size increase. That's not going to do you much good though. We don't do ammo increases in this household, so you're going to bore faster through your entire reserves within a few seconds. However, there is a fire rate reduction to keep you in check. This is a balanced overclock after all, can't get too crazy. That's what the unstables are for, like Marked for Death for the M1000 Classic. While this weapon is usually reserved for big deeps and big bullets, this overclock funnels the Garand into a more supportive role. Charging a focus shot will now reduce its damage to basically zero and increase its cost. In exchange, your focus charges faster and targets hit by it are marked for death. That's the name of the overclock! Marked enemies are softened up a bit, receiving 33% more damage, perfect for aiding your team or making your secondary all the more powerful. By the way, aiming your focus shot at an ally won't mark them, so you can't get bonus friendly fire damage. You can still hip fire as normal, but your clip size isn't as big, so it won't be as fun as shotgun. It also applies to piercing shots.
Wait, what? Did this?
What? Yeah. For some reason, the charge shot pings any creature or robot it hits. I'm going to assume this is intentional for the sake of soloing with this weapon, as well as automatically pinging the enemies so your allies know what's going on. But it really looks like an accident. But neither of those overclocks are particularly flashy. I'm here to have a unique experience that violates my eyes. Thank goodness conductive thermals for the Drake 25 Plasma Carbine is here to constrict my pupils for maximum entertainment. This balanced overclock makes your targets more susceptible to the 4 elements: fire, ice, electric, and fire again. Each hit decreases elemental resistance and reduces temperature thresholds for 10 seconds. There's more semantic-y deets on how it stacks, but that's for the wiki to tell you. Since your bullets are extra spicy, the heat your carbine generates is increased and the damage your shots deal is decreased. Use this weapon in conjunction with elemental weapons or allies to properly feel the benefits, or suffer a subjective downgrade otherwise. Another balanced overclock is Rotary Overdrive for the Leadstorm-powered minigun. This overclock cranks the fire rate at the cost of significantly increasing heat generation. Luckily, this balances out because we've equipped your minigun with our patented Quick Chill coolant charges. Just slap this big ol' button and a quarter of your heat gauge will be instantly cool. You can carry 12 of these charges at a time, and spares can be found in resupply packs. Next on the list is mortar rounds for the Thunderhead Heavy Autocannon. While most other overclocks have been tweaking some numbers and adding mild mechanics, Mortar Rounds changes how the Thunderhead works entirely. At the cost of your mag size, storage, damage, and fire rate, you lob giant explosive rounds that arc to your enemies.
I think it's been well established in my videos that haha big explosion kinda rocks.
You fool! That was your chance to rock and stone! Ah! These mini mortars have a bigger blast radius than usual, and 7 times the area damage. Single target is for your sidearm anyway. Equip mortar rounds to maximize your swarm clearing antics. But if you want to cover an even wider area, then look no further than cluster charges for the hurricane-guided rocket system. These modified missiles travel slower than usual and can be manually detonated to create 7 bomblets. These big boys reduce mag size and ammo by 44% and slow down your rate of fire. Beneath your barrage of bombs, an indicator displays where your explosive rain will devastate the locals. With double the direct and indirect damage, you've upgraded from being an APC to an AC-130 gunship. Starting off, Driller is an unstable overclock that doesn't have downsides. Scorching Tide for the crisper flamethrower leaves your weapon unchanged unless commanded otherwise. When activating, your flamethrower will vomit a wave of napalm in a cone in front of you. Unlike Burning Hands, this tsunami of fire will ignite anything in its way without the prerequisite of it being flammable. Enemies, surfaces, more enemies, nothing will go unsinged. This claim is affirmed by your fireballs piercing through glyphids with 0 damage reduction and applying sticky flames along the way. As much fun as it is to extinguish the lives of dozens at a time, this charge shot reduces your speed, costs a lot of fuel, and nullifies your target's explode modification if equipped. Be mindful of these encumbrances lest you want to be overwhelmed, or you can just throw caution into the wind and use your flamethrower like a shotgun. Next is Crystal Nucleation for the Cryo Cannon. Though more dense, resulting in less capacity, the replacement coolant for the cannon solidifies into a stronger lattice structure, forming long crystalline spikes. These icicles maintain the frigidity of your snow beam and thus retain damage and cooling improvements made to your cryo cannon. The shards can last forever if untouched, reduce temperature quickly, and slow enemies trudging through them. The double-edged problem with this overclock is that the integrity of the spikes changes depending on the circumstances. If the environment is hot or fire is a factor, the icicles will melt as if the overclock was disabled. Conversely, if a snowstorm is happening by your hands or not, the crystals will regain some of their lost integrity. Use this information wisely, or else your crystal nucleation will become steam with extra steps. But if you want fire to work in your favor, Combustive Goo Mix for the Corrosive Sludge Pump has some synergy you may enjoy. We've mixed your biohazardous ammo with picric acid, so now when your sludge comes in contact with fire, it explodes extravagantly. With the only downside being a +2 to your charge shot, this balanced overclock is unbalanced in your favor. It's worth noting that once these substances combine, both are removed for the sake of detonation. This applies to both sticky flames / goo puddles and their respective status effects. If an explosive reaction takes place, both substances will be consumed in the process. To make this effect happen more than 0 times, equip the Burning Nightmare modification for the EPC or call upon your allies to light the fuse.
Face my exploding goo. Wait a minute, don't take that out of context.
But that still doesn't compare to the biggest bomb of the game. There isn't actually a new overclock for the grenade launcher, but I needed a smooth transition to engineer.
I thought that was the platform gun.
Pump action for the Warthog Auto 210 increases the shotgun of your shotgun. At the cost of less ammo, mag size, and fire rate, you have more pellets that deal more damage and can tear through multiple enemies. Does having an automatic pump shotgun break the laws of physics and firearms? Yes. Is it really cool? Absolutely. Hyperalloy assembly for the Stubby Voltaic SMG is your classic case of good damage for bad everything else.
Jesus Christ!
Your horizontal recoil is reduced significantly and your weak point damage is increased, but your mag size is decreased and your vertical recoil is actively trying to shoot the sun. But that's not the only boon for the Stubby. My favorite overclock, Turret Arc, has been revamped and renamed. Microconductor add-on not only possesses all its original traits, see my other video for more info, but you can now electrocute platforms for more damage and opportunities to do so.
Zap! Zap! Zap!
The electrified plascrete slows down enemies and does not affect your allies, resulting in a shocking good time. Lastly, we have the latest software update for the Lock 1 Smart Rifle. The Smart Trigger OS, trademark, lets you not try even harder than usual. When pulling the trigger of the lock one, it will automatically target, eliminate, and retarget without further effort from the wielder. Lock-on time is reduced by a significant multiplier, making it near unnoticeable, and the fire rate of the weapon is increased based on how low the lock-on time is. For efficiency, the maximum amount of locks is reduced, but that just makes your burst fire more satisfying. Rip in pieces, Deep Core Burst Fire, you've existed for 5 seconds and have already been one-upped. And there you have it, everything you need to know on the gameplay side of Season 5. No, this video isn't late, shut up! Most everything in this video was recorded live at twitch.tv/ExplosiveT5. Link in the description. Stop on by for antics, playing with fans, and whatever this is.
I am a hand car. A hand truck, also known as a hand trolley, dolly. If I am a hand, how do I move? Then is an L-shaped. What does that mean? Just a hand cart. A hand cart observer.
One end.
I can't stop being a hand cart. Do I have a small hand cart?
Set objects on.
Hand cart.
On that note, special thanks to my patrons for supporting the channel. I literally couldn't do this without you. More streams and shenanigans galore, so I'll see you with the
Final Borderlands.
There are no monsters. Right.